bad. No good.
You don't like that middle of the country rock, Barry? What's up? But I know you like middle of the country racing. That's what we're going to be talking about here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Happy Hour, Indiana. Happy to be with you here on the program this evening. Of course, to my left on the screen, at least, is Josh Rodriguez. To my right, my old colleague, Barry Spears. So glad you could take out part of your Tuesday evening to hang with us. We love Horseshoe because they race during the week. They hold those stakes races on Wednesdays. Pair of handicaps tomorrow. We will get into those later in the card if you're new to the show. We handicap the entire card, get you ready for the day that will be tomorrow at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. This is Happy Hour Indiana, part of the Horse Racing Happy Hour podcast network. Barry, good day to you, sir. How are you?
What's up?
Rocking and
What's
rolling.
going on?
Very, very little, except if you're Josh Rodriguez, who just literally took all of the money out of Las Vegas. Josh, how are you? Doing all right?
Sure did.
I still a couple days removed from the trip, and I still can't believe how well things went. At some point, I thought this is going to go south really bad, and it kind of did on the last day. However, like I had by that point, the bankroll was so stuffed, like I didn't even care. So it was what a great trip, man.
That's like me in the filly and mare turf, Barry, at the Breeders' Cup. I was just like, I can bet on this race. You know, I've already made my money today. We're good. Close it out with this. Try to beat Gazora, which was stupid, of course. But again, Josh Rodriguez.
How was he 9-1? How was that horse 9-1?
That one I'll never understand for sure. But had I known it was 9-1, I probably would have bet her when I went to the window 15 minutes before post time. Just assumed she'd be like 3-1. But anyways, thanks guys for hanging out on a Tuesday edition of the program. We're going to handicap the card tomorrow at Horseshoe, Indianapolis, a pair of stakes on the card there. And of course, we appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Let's get it going. A maiden 15 to start off the day tomorrow there at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. We're on the dirt for this one. State breds in this one in a maiden claimer. 18-5 on the board for this one. And Barry, we go to you because you are the odd fella. You start the odd number races. 8-5 favorite on the morning line here for All Bark, No Bite. Is there bite there?
No, we don't like that bite. Nope, not at all. Nope. I think that horse is a little dressed up. The last couple of races, this horse showed a little bit of speed and then faded late. They're going to the blinkers. They had their chances, I think. I ended up on the 5 Mega Witch. This horse dropped in class last time, ran a pretty good race. Seems like they found their friends. I think they're going to be better this time, second time off the layoff. A couple good works in tow before that last race on May 1st. I think this one is going to be real tough to beat in this spot.
Route to sprint there for Randy Klopp, of course, a mainstay at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Josh, I see you're going in a different direction here, a little bit more to the inside. You're going to try a very, very long shot to kick off the card here.
I'll be honest. I probably had 5 or 6 horses written down in this race, and I didn't have the 4 anywhere, which does make me wonder what kind of prices we actually get on here. So I'm basically taking all the maiden drop, the horses dropping out of maiden special weight. That includes the 2, the 7 Dream Fast, the 8 J's Uno, and the 9 Recomputing. Honestly, I mean, they basically are all the same to me in this point. We're going to try horses that are getting maybe to a bit of an easier spot. Obviously, the 2 being the longest price, I believe, of the 4 there, to me at least, is the most interesting. Lightly raced horse, did kind of step up into class, into that maiden special weight, and is kind of dropping back down to an even easier spot than he did first time out. So, yeah, I thought the 2 was pretty interesting. I do like Barry's 6 as well, Sig X5. Aaron West is 20% first time starters. So that would be one if I'm playing that early, is another one on my ticket, but that 4 is going to be anywhere in my tickets.
Barry, you went 5, 6, and 4. This literally gives us 7 different horses between the 2 of you to kick off the card tomorrow. This is part of the reason we love playing Horseshoe, is that the puzzle is indeed very difficult to put together. The 6 horse in here, Barry, is Sig X5. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, out of the Aaron West barn, he does very well with first-time starters. He's hitting at 20%, pretty decent sample size. Hooks up with Sammy Bermudez quite a bit for a nice percentage too. Getting Lasix for the first time, just no knocks on this horse compared to the rest of the field. I think they stand a pretty good chance.
4 horse in here is All Bark, No Bite. There is a world in which this horse wins this race, yeah?
No, I don't think
so. Okay. Interesting. All right. Dropping back from a mile
You
to
just put them
6
in the winner
furlongs here.
circle.
Yeah, I get it. The blinker numbers for Gennaro Garcia, not good. I guess we'll go on that. I don't know, but yes, there you go. Favorite not going to win or win by a panel tomorrow there at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Move on to race 2 here on Happy Hour Indiana. Louis Rabeau, Barry Spears, and Josh Rodriguez hanging out with you. Race 2 is also on the dirt. We're going to mile 70 here, a $50,000 optional claimer, just about $50,000 in the purse as well. 3 and up for non-twos, essentially. Young Josh, and we got a 7-5 favorite in this one here in the 2-horse. Josh, I know this one major handicapping, but it looks like you're going to try to beat him anyway.
I mean, I'm from Chicago, right? I got to go with Bedard, right? Number 3. Brad Cox trained here. Mitch Merle gets aboard. I prefer this one of the 2 Cox runners. Does look to be lone speed in this spot. Has a couple of big numbers down south in Oak Lawn and in the fairgrounds. I just think this is another horse that has kind of maybe been running against better and is finding a pretty soft spot here. Instant replay is coming in off of the long layoff, but you kind of look at the trajectory of this horse last year, right? You see this is a horse that kind of wound up at Lone Star, did run in the Indiana Derby last year, and then they sent it down to Louisiana Downs. So, does have a bit of class, but I don't know, off of the long layoff, I have a little bit more faith in the 3, especially with the pace advantage that horse is going to have.
3-2 for Josh here in race 2. Barry, you went to the 2 on top here. By the way, son of Maximum Security, who does stand in Indiana now. 2-1-6 for you, Barry. Let's go ahead and talk about the 1 horse in here. I think we know what instant replay is. We saw him last year, the 2 of us. There in the Indiana Derby, certainly headed down and won the Super Derby there in Louisiana as well. Speed bias, though, on the inside here. This is one that we've seen in stakes races at Indiana before as well. What do you like about him?
It has pretty much this, I think, is the second fastest horse in this race behind instant replay. Ran a pretty good race last time in a similar race at Oaklawn, and that was in the mud, but that's okay. They got claimed in a race going a mile against the same horse too, actually, Spoiler, who won both of those races. This horse was in the last 2 times, but has some races to go back to. The Essex last year wasn't too bad of an effort and was running competitively, at least more than most of the horses in this race. So I figured they might be right there, but instant replay, I think, is the horse to beat by far. It seems as if this is just a prep for the Indiana Derby.
I agree.
Derby, and it'll be a good confidence builder or a stake on Indiana Derby day. But I think this is a good spot for them, and I honestly, I think they just outclassed this field by a lot.
It's a replay, of course, the winner of the Bathhouse Row after finishing a good 3rd in the Louisiana Derby last year. The Bathhouse Row would have qualified for the Preakness, but of course opted for the race at Lone Star in the Texas Derby, instead winning that one before winning the Super Derby, as Josh mentioned there, at Louisiana Downs as well. Barry, you also have the 6 horse here in your handicapping. That's Friar Newton. Evan Roman gets the mount here from Paulo Lobo. I was this one looked really good last out. They were going to try this one on the turf, like the dirt. They're going to stay there.
Yeah, I think they figured out this horse really doesn't want to be on the synthetic, and every time he comes off as synthetic, he runs pretty good. They were trying the turf last time, rained off, and ran a good race in that 4-horse field. Sort of the best of the rest here. There's not much once you get past the top 2, the 1 and the 2. There's really not much there, so I figured I could give Friar Newton a shot to get in the money.
2-1-6 for Barry, 3-2 for Josh there in race 2 tomorrow at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. We're doing Happy Hour Indiana here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour Podcast Network. Louis Rabeau hanging out with you, Josh Rodriguez, Barry Spears alongside race 3. Up next on the card, of course, is back on the dirt as well. Mile and a 16th here in an allowance for 3 and up. Non-2 lifers essentially here, Josh. And these are the kinds of fields, as Barry just mentioned, hey, maybe we're starting to look at horses that are getting ready to run in about 5 weeks for the Indiana Derby itself. I think you got a fair number of those in here as well. Who'd you land on in this one?
Yeah, I think my strong opinion is I really don't like the 3 in here, the Will Walden horse, Fact. So he's one that kind of looks like he's maybe regressing a little bit from that big figure at Parks last year. Hasn't really taken a step forward. So I do think the 5, he's late again. Coming in here for Brad Cox is going to be pretty tough. Marcelo Pedroza sees fit to ride here. Maybe, like I said, another question that this is another horse that was kind of in, running in Louisiana, did get claimed, or at least switch barns to Brad Cox. So maybe they have a little bit bigger aspirations for this horse now. Kept the horse local down there. And maybe this is, like you said, this is going to be kind of the prep to get this horse ready for bigger things this year up here. The 4 Fountain Lake, first time gelding here. And Joe Ramos gets aboard. Does look like this horse does have some figures that do fit in with the rest of this field. Maybe a little bit concerned about the layoff. Kind of maybe wait and see a little bit on that one. But I do really like the 2 Quality Mischief was the other Brad Cox horse in this spot. Is coming off of a little break from the illness, but right, this is the horse that broke its maiden here at Indiana, and then they went straight in the stakes company. After the Risen Star, I mean, didn't really embarrass himself in those races. And now maybe just finding a much, much softer group here. I really like the 2 Quality Mischief in this spot, but I'll be using the 5 and the 4 as well.
Quality Mischief off of the Kentucky Derby Trail, is Triple Crown nominated, is one of the 3-year-olds here in a 3 and up race. Barry, almost certainly if he wins here, we'll see him in the Indiana Derby. Yeah.
Probably. I would hope so. I think that's probably the intent.
You have him 3rd in your handicapping. You have the 5 3rd in your handicapping. You have him on top here, though. Quality Mischief, solid drop in class here. I got to imagine, and just having watched, Brad Cox trainees over the years, this is a real attempt that if he can win here, Barry, he's going to get that confidence in him, and he's going to have him ready for July. Yep,
absolutely. The horses that beat him: Chip Honcho, Golden Tempo, Paladin, Chip Honcho, and Golden Tempo.
You may have heard of him.
Nobody's keeping that kind of company. Actually, Fact is sort of keeping similar company, but not as good. Ran pretty good against those horses. I think they'll be closer to the pace against these types and should have the run of the race. I thought Fact was interesting because I took the opposite angle from what Josh was saying. I think this horse is coming into this race pretty good. Came off the bench running, ran a similar figure than what they ran before the layoff on August 19th, 2025. They came back pretty good in that spot. Probably wasn't a tougher race than they anticipated with Vibe and Statesman in there. And they ran pretty good. Then they got a wide trip in that allowance race at Keeneland, so I can forgive that. And now they're in a pretty good spot here. I would say their best trip would probably be to be right up on the pace, if not the speed. But we'll see what they do. But I think they stand a good shot. And then the 5, he's late again, kind of the lone closer here, has run pretty good races in this kind of company. I just don't like horses that close like this. They usually have a tough time running into some traffic trouble, things of that sort. A lot of things can go wrong. So we're going to use that one 3rd.
He's late again, exclusively in Louisiana-based races as a Louisiana bred. Interesting to see him up here at Horseshoe tomorrow. There in the Cox barn, obviously prepping for something. But interesting to see him outside of those Louisiana races down south. There we move on to race 4. It's a claimer here, a nickel claimer, $14,000 on the line. We're going to mile 70, and this is for 3 and up for non-3 lifers here, Barry. This is how you make a pick 5 very difficult. You have 10 horses like this in the 4th leg of that. But you and Josh landed on the same horse here. You landed on the 7, Barry. Talk to us about him.
Yeah, Shiesty to Chase. This horse was running pretty good. I think they kind of lost their way when they went to the turf and the synthetic. I think this horse's better races are on the traditional dirt. If you look at those 2 races this horse ran, both at Horseshoe, November and October of last year, those races are really competitive in this spot, would probably win it. And I think that, having that one race under their belt this year on May 11th counts a lot. and I think it's go time for this horse. 7-2 seems like a far fetched dream. I would take 3-1, maybe 5-2.
Josh, I imagine you agree, since this is the only horse you listed on the show sheet.
Yeah, I think if Barry and I are both on this horse, yeah, 7-2 is probably is a pipe dream. We're probably looking closer to 7-5, 2-1. Yeah, I think this is a horse, right? You cross out all the races that weren't on dirt, or that, and you're going back to Indiana Grand last year, or Horseshoe Indianapolis rather, and you got a horse that ran 3 really good races there.
Yep.
You go back even further, and you just got good races on there. So I think getting back to the right surface at a track he likes, I think he's going to be tough to beat in this spot. I mean, top pick and would be a single in the early.
7, 8, and 3 for you, Barry. The 8 horse here is Patronage, coming off the turf here. Before that, though, was a winner at 6 furlongs on the dirt at this level. We looking at that race for clues for this one?
Absolutely. It's the only race this horse has run on a fast dirt track, one going away. I think that's got to count for something in this race. There's a lot of muddied up form in this spot. And I think that race was good enough to compete. The stretch out doesn't really make that much of a difference to me, because this horse has shown the ability to stretch out. They had a nice race on January 1st this year that would compete also. So kind of the best of the rest, but they can compete. And if they're given the right trip, they might be able to win at a decent price.
Micah Meeks, of course, bug at this point, but is 7 for 32 to start the year there at Horseshoe Indianapolis. A solid number for him for sure. 7, 8, and 3 for Barry there. Is 7 single for Josh in race 4, the nickel claimer there in the early part of the sequence. Race 5 up next. Starts the hat trick turf pick 3 here. $1 minimum on that. That's races 5, 7, and 10 tomorrow. Josh will share his ticket at the end of the show today. We're going a mile and a 16th on that turf course. We're in the state bred ranks here. This is a non-2 allowance for India bred sires, and we're on the filly side of things here, Josh. Interesting field in here. We've got a slotted 4-5 favorite in here for a horse that's won one time in its last 9 runs. Go ahead and tell me why the morning line maker is right.
I mean, this horse has got races that are, at least on time form, 20 points faster than any other horse in the field. So, I mean, this horse should win this race. Now, you kind of look at this field, and you're looking at a field that's completely devoid of speed. So, I do have a little bit of interest in a couple of long shots in the 1 and the 6, who, have shown speed at some point in their career, and maybe kind of come in here and just maybe try and steal on the front end. I thought the 1 was particularly interesting just because you see Marcelino Pedrosa get aboard, right? And, he's one of the top guys here. He's at 16% right now. And this is a horse getting blinkers for the first time, or at least getting blinkers on. I mean, right, this horse has got to go, right? This is a sprinter on the rail. And, maybe Marcelino tries and steals this one on the front end at 30-1. I do think the 7, I am singling him in the turf pick 3, but I do think if you are playing something horizontal kind of coming into this, especially in the early, I think it's worth it to especially use the 1 and maybe even the 6 and see if one of those can steal it on the front end.
Barry, we go to you. You agree on the 7 here. Anything to add to Sweet Heat? You also seem pretty bought in on a horse that's won for his last 9.
Yeah, he's just flat out faster than the rest of these horses. Even though he has a tough time winning races, I think this is just the right spot for this. Honestly, if he really wanted to, I think he could go wire to wire and beat these horses, unless there's some super freak, like the 1 could be just super fast, but they're putting Lasix on and blinkers on, so they're trying to get some speed, but I still think the fastest horse will win, and it's Sweet Heat.
7-5 for you. You've got Midnight Caper in the second spot here. Louis Contreras rides for Rob Gorham. What do you like about this one? I think this one's last performance on the dirt makes a lot of sense, but we're going to turf here. What do you like about this one?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of that horse's lone turf race. I don't think they really got a good run at it, and it seems like the horse is kind of on the improve. I like the race coming off the bench on May 1st. That was a good win. Sets this horse up for this spot. Gorham does pretty well with all types of runners. Getting Louis Contreras here, I'd give him a shot. I mean, there's not much in here once you get past Sweet Heat, so I think that one was probably the second best horse in this race.
Josh, you have a single in race 4. Would you also single here in race 5, or would you include those longer shots because you went shorter in 4?
I think for the turf, pick 3, I'm going to be singling here. But if I'm playing the early and I have a single earlier in the sequence, I think I'll probably use the 1 and the 6 as well, and just see, hey, maybe we get a price, and if the 7 wins, so be it.
There you go. All right, moving on to race 6. And guys, I gotta say, of all of outside of big days, a Derby day, an Oaks day, whatever, this is one of my more favorite pick 5s that I've looked at this year. This is a spectacular end of this card, and it starts with this race here in race 6 tomorrow. There, Wednesday at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Maiden special weight. We're in the on the filly and mare side of things. Fillies 3 years old that are Indiana bred or sired here. 5.5 on the dirt. Some with experience, some without. And Barry, we go to you. Josh, we go to you. It is an even numbered race. And you landed on the nearly outside horse here. I'm just kidding because there are 13 entered. Maisie Force be with you. And if this is just a Star Wars pick, we have a problem. But I'm trusting it's not just a Star Wars pick.
I mean, it's Larry Ravelli with a young horse.
Okay, well,
and
I heard and I thought it was going to be a Star Wars thing, and we were going to have a problem. Go ahead, yeah.
I mean, Larry Ravelli tends to get these horses winning early pretty easy. Prescott gets aboard here, who's winning at nearly 20%. Ravelli only wins he's down here at Indianapolis with only winning 1 of 5, where he's 31% for the year. So, I just think, second time out for this horse. Obviously, it is going to be off of a long layoff. But I mean, you just look at all his stats. I mean, it's pretty gaudy what he can do with these young horses. So I like the 9 here a lot. I'll take a shot with the first time starter, the 3 Troglodyte. World of Trouble has been off to a bit of a slow start. I think he's in about 10% with first time starters. But Robert Dobbs, he's 15% with first time starters here. So. I like the fact that Burgos gets aboard. They're winning at 25% when they connect. So really do like the 3 here a bit. And then I think of the other starters with horses with starts, the 2, the Santo Sanjur board for Robert Gorham. I think he's obviously really interesting. They're putting the blinkers on. So maybe they're going to try and show even more speed. I mean, I know they were kind of forward to what looked to be a pretty hot pace going 22 flat last time out, but now inside drawn in this spot, I think he looks pretty good here, but I love the 9 Maisie Force be with you here.
9, 3, and 2 for him. Barry, you're just going to flip the top 2 here. 3 and 9 Troglodyte on top for you, Burgos and Dobbs combining there. They've won 3 of their last 12 together at Horseshoe. Outside of that, what do you like?
I like that work April 9th. Kind of tipped their hand that this horse might have a little bit of speed. And that might be all you need in a race like this. I was really down on Hey there, the 2. I think they just had their chances. It seems like maybe the blinkers on might be a little bit of desperation move before they drop in class. But I thought the 9 was interesting. May's Force be with you. And I'll say it is slightly a Star Wars pick. But it's better than Star Trek, so we have that. But again, all the Ravelli stats tell you that this horse is going to run out of their skin, but we're going to try to play against that one. And then the 10, Valda Risk, has some nice works for Rudy Brusset. That one on May 7th at Keeneland really kind of sticks out. He can pop with a first-timer every now and then and looks to be training well coming into this event.
Been working at Keeneland. Volatile Risk, of course, a daughter, of Volatile. You mentioned World of Trouble. Barry, Florida bred. How about that? Closed his career with 5 wins in a row.
Super fast.
The only loss before that was in the turf sprint in the Breeders' Cup Churchill Downs in 2018. I remember because I was there. Closed, of course, with a win in the Carter, a win in the turf sprint there at Churchill, and then a win in the Japer up at Belmont Park. Move on to race 7 here, continuing along with Horseshoe Indianapolis Wednesday card here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. If my freaking computer will let me flip to 7. Hey, all right, let's go. Race 7 is back on the turf here. Second leg of Josh's Turf Pick 3 play, which we will give out right after race 10. You already heard his single, but we go to an allowance here for non-2 lifers. Mile and a 16th on the turf course there. If you're unfamiliar with the layout of the turf course there, you're actually going to get a fair amount of run up to the first turn before going the 2 turns there at Horseshoe Indianapolis. We're running for $46,000. Odd number race, you're an odd fellas. Zach, I was going to call him Zach.
Whoa.
And then, no, it's not nice. Not a good thing to do. It's not a good thing. He's got a name and I should use it. You landed on the 2 here, Josh. The 2's name is the Dover Spectre. Seems like a very, very, does that sound like a Paramount Plus show?
Yes. Yeah.
Tonight at 10. The Dover Spectre. It does, right? It just sounds like that. Anyways, all right, Josh. You laid it on the
spin-off of the X-Files, right?
Something like that. Yeah. What's going on with the Dover Spectre? Josh, you just got muted. Let me see. You muted yourself.
My fault. I was typing. I was typing, and I didn't want everyone to hear me
Zoom.
typing furiously. Yeah, you think I didn't do this, multiple times a week, but the 2 to Dover Spectre I thought was the horse to beat in here. I did think there was a fair bit of speed signed up in this race, so I was kind of looking, hey, who's going to be coming from off the pace? The Dover Spectre is basically a dead closer here. If you look kind of the last 3 races, has run pretty decent numbers, I think, at courses that have just a higher quality, a higher quality field on average, right? You have a Keeneland allowance and a Churchill allowance, right? Coming here to Indianapolis, getting, I think, a bit of class relief here. And I think he's going to get enough speed in front of him in order to be able to do what he wants to do, which is kind of close in with, with the kick. So I thought this race was just going to set up nicely for the 2 here. Going to the outside, I thought if you did want to take your chance with maybe a more forward horse, I thought the 9 Passing Judgment made a ton of sense because he's kind of been a little unlucky, I think, the last 3 races, in where he's run nearly winning races and just come up just short in all 3. Gets Mitchell Merle aboard, but I do think he's going to be kind of sitting that tracking trip, and if the 2 can't make up all the ground, I think maybe the 9's going to kind of get first run on them, and maybe he's going to be just the best there in that spot. And then the 10, just happy to be here. Just missed last time out. Had a little bit of a baby Z pattern there where it kind of, lost a little bit of ground, and then was able to kind of close. And I just think that if he gets a setup like he did, he's got a race last year where, hey, there's a bit of a fast pace in front of him and he was able to close and win by an open length. I think if he gets a similar setup here, I think he could definitely win at a nice 9-2 price there. So I'll be 2, 9, and 10 in the spot.
2, 9, and 10 for Josh here. Again, we'll give out his Turf Pick 3 play at the end of the show. 7, 10, and 11 for you, Barry. A bit of a different take than Josh on this race. Covert Law off of a long layoff for John Ortiz, who's not great off of these layoffs necessarily, Barry. But what do you see in this one?
No, he's not that great off the layoff, but he's certainly capable. I like what they did after this horse went long the first time. They immediately put this horse on the grass, and you can see the improvement there. They won first time on the grass, then got a kind of wide trip, didn't win. And then the last time at Horseshoe last summer, went to the lead, and that's not their game either. I think they can sit a really nice trip here. I don't think there's a ton of speed in here. I know the 4 Fantastic Vow is going to be out there, but beyond that, it's kind of questionable. Taunting might want to go, but they might not. And that leaves Covert Law, who has some versatility to either be right on the lead or right off of it. And I think that's going to go a long way. Getting JD Ramos, one of the better riders at the track, I think they're sitting on a good race.
Joe Ramos already 12 wins on the year there at Horseshoe. You went to the 10 next. Just happy to be here. Josh talked about him a little bit, so let's ask you about the 15-1 on the morning line. Evan Roman piloted Candy Cane Crane. By the way, I think we should pause the show. It's an important thing to talk about in June. You know how, like when we were kids, people would put together new Christmas music? You know, like Mariah Carey would come up with a song. Like there's stuff, right? Like people would try.
Things.
For like 20 years, nobody tried. And then a couple years ago, I think it's Sia. I think came out with Candy Cane Lane. Now, Barry, you have a daughter. You have to know this song, right?
No. My daughter listens to Deftones, so this might not that might not be on her radar.
Right? Yeah, like K-pop, yeah. Right. So okay, all right. So yeah, all right. Never mind. Candy Cane Lane, banger modern Christmas song.
All right, I'll have to listen to it.
We'll listen to it when you come up for the Indiana Derby. There you go.
Okay, that's fair.
And here
that's
is
fair.
Candy Cane Crane, Sippy Contreras, Evan Roman. This one last out. Broke its maiden. Barry, I'm with you. I love a horse coming out of a maiden win, gets the new confidence. Obviously, first time trying turf, gets to do it again here.
Right. Contreras claimed the horse, immediately put the horse on the grass, and they win. I think there's a step up in there, getting Evan Roman, who's a really decent rider. Going to have to work out a trip at a big price. They should be coming late. I'll give them a shot to getting the money here.
Interesting field. They are overstocked in that one. 14 entered for that race tomorrow.
Before we move on, I did have one thing I wanted to mention, and that's that I think Mr. Snowman by Sia is the better of the new Sia Christmas songs.
You didn't even know that existed until 5 seconds ago.
I did not.
I did. I wanted to make sure that it was Sia. I knew the song, but I wanted to make sure it was Sia. Yeah.
All right. Sia's my new favorite modern.
You have a Christmas album?
What? Yeah, that's. See, this is important June conversation. This is very, very important June conversation.
Christmas in July is just around the corner.
I don't think it is. All right. The race up next is race 8. That starts the pick 3 here for the last of the thoroughbred races. At least there is a quarter horse race in race 11 if you want to wait for the next pick 3. But we're going to the Shelby County Handicap, of course. Shelbyville is where the track is. So we are in Shelby County, 6 furlongs on the dirt here. This is on the filly and mare side of things, 3 and up, and you must be Indiana sired for this one. And Josh, we go to you, race 8. Imagine the Moon on the inside. To me, a surprising 2-1 on the morning line. Where'd you land on this one?
Yeah, I kind of was looking back and forth in this race, and I wasn't really interested in the 2 short prices. The 7 work at Wendy. 7-2 on the morning line, I think has got, one big race last year. But if you kind of cross the line through that one, he has maybe a slop effort that kind of fits in there as well. Looks like I need the lead type, and I'm not really sure if this horse is going to get the lead with the 2, the kid Pataki on the inside. Although, obviously coming off of the, being banned off last time out. So I landed on the 5 Shanghai Express in this spot. And this is kind of one of the angles that I really like. I maybe I like this a little bit more in turf races and dirt races, but when I'm looking at time form and I see a horse that's coming, from multiple lengths off the pace and winning, and you see just a bunch of blue fractions in front, I tend to kind of take a closer look at that horse because obviously closer horses want some pace in front of them. And if you're able to do it when there's no pace in front of you, imagine if you do get an honest pace, right? So I really like the 5 Shanghai Express. Maybe a little bit of a question because it was off a sloppy track last time. Was this horse aided by that? But I don't know. You kind of look back and does have some back races that kind of match that figure. So I'm kind of going more off of form than speed on that horse. So I really like the 5. And then, just inside of the 5, the 4 Gatling Girl, another horse that probably on paper just looks too slow, but man, does this horse like to win. I mean, this horse has got 4 wins in its last 5 starts. And, sometimes you just look at these horses and you're like, hey, this horse runs to its company, right? This horse just wins races. All right, this horse is going to be running against better horses, but hey, maybe this horse just, pops up and surprises us with a figure. So I really like the 4 in here. And then, yeah, I guess of the short prices, the one, Imagine the Moon, makes a bit of sense because I do think if the 2 and 7 go out there and duel each other into submission, the one could just get the dream trip sitting right off the pace here and is able to just kind of pass a couple of tired horses on the lead and win. So 5, 4, and 1 for me.
5-1-3 for you, Barry. The 5 horse. Are you surprised Josh landed on Shanghai Express as well?
No, because I think all signs are pointing to this horse is going to get the setup that they want. Haven't gotten it in a while. I know they lost to these types before last summer, but didn't get the same kind of setup they're going to get on tomorrow. There's a lot of speed. The 6 has a speed. The 7 has speed. The 2 is definitely going to go to the front if they can. And Imagine the Moon is definitely going to get a great trip too. I just don't like the inside draw. It's always difficult to kind of maneuver your way out of that. And I think the second move is the one that will win, and I think that's Shanghai Express.
You have Brittany's Golden Faith, the 3 horse here. Irving Moncada gets the mount here for the Dobbs Barn. This was one that I guess you would just have to draw a line through. The most recent race there at Churchill Downs on the turf, gets back to running on the dirt here. 1 for 7 at the distance. What do you see in her?
You can put lines through those last 2 races, albeit they were last year in October and November. But one was an off the turf event and one was on the turf. But prior to that, this horse was running pretty good and seemingly improving. They went in a spot like this in September and lost to Imagine the Moon and wasn't even close. But the layoff may have done this horse some good. I know they don't have the greatest of numbers off this kind of a layoff, but it's not like they're not capable. Moncada ending up on this horse is really interesting because I gather he probably had his pick of a few in this spot and he lands there. But I think this horse can get in the picture. I'm not sure about them actually winning this race, though.
5-1-3 for Barry, 5-4-1 for Josh there in the first of the 2 handicaps, of course, the Shelby County. Rachel was with us for the last episode of this, guys, and she was very clear about why they're running these as handicaps rather than black types or different things. That's to allow horses to run on Lasix. That's exactly right. And so that is why these are handicap races tomorrow there at Horseshoe, but the purses, of course, reflect a slightly higher amount of race. Another $100,000 race here in the William Henry Harrison handicap. One of my favorite Simpsons moments is when the little kid on stage is playing William Henry Harrison and he goes, "I died in 30 days." And it's one of those very, very funny moments that's the only thing that the kids in their entire time in school learned about William Henry Harrison. But there you go. He gets a stakes race that's going to last as long as his presidency. Too soon?
Dang.
Was he the one who died from drinking like a cold glass of milk?
That's Aaron Burr.
No, I think he got shot.
Yeah, Aaron Burr got.
I was kind of playing on that commercial, the milk commercial, where the guy is eating the brownie and
Oh
yeah. He's like Aaron Burr. There you go. Need milk, right? Got milk.
We're going to the male side of things here. 3 and up here. Josh, 6 furlongs on the dirt. I feel like I just went to you in the last race, so I'm going to go to Barry. I'm just kidding. It's an odd race. Goes to Barry first. Josh is going to single here. Barry, you're going a different direction than he is. By the way, shout out Mr. Chaos is in this race. Just shows up every time. 9 for 28 lifetime in his career up there, but you're going to go a very different direction here. You're going to try 15-1 shot here out of that Heron Barn. CJ Storm, what do you like about him?
Yeah, I think this horse is coming in this race in good form. I know it doesn't seem that way just looking at those last 2 races from this year or the 2 races from this year, but didn't get the best of trips in either of those races. Was wide in both and just really didn't have a shot. Gets some post position relief here. And I like the workout after this last race on May 13th. The May 25th workout is pretty good. And I think this horse is going to get a really good setup here. There's plenty of speed. Tiz Eddie, Hawkeye, the 2 outside horses. And I think they're going to sit a really good trip. I don't think we're going to get 15-1 though. I think that's going to be halved at least, if not more than that. I'll take it all the way down to like 6-1 before I jump ship.
4, 2, and 7 here, Josh. His second horse is your only horse here. I have made the statement before, and I will say it again on this show. I think Horseshoe is the toughest place to single of any track that I play in the country. You're going to try one here in the sequence with Sammy Bermudez and Tom Medina. What do you like about this one besides, bullet work, second off the layoff, all the things?
You basically nailed it. Bullet work, second off the layoff. But, especially with a lot of these horses in kind of the mid to early season, the horses that have run for a couple of years, you have a lot of data on these horses. You have things like form patterns. And what you go back and you look at this horse, this 2025 season, debuted in April, first time off, 222 days, ran kind of an even second out there. And what does he do the next time? He comes out and he fires and he wins. What did we see this time? First time out this season, kind of went out there, ran around the track, looked like maybe a little bit of a workout. Now he's coming in here, and I think he's just ready to go. So I really like him in this spot here. I think, like you said, second off the layoff, this is a horse that's proven to win second off the layoff. So that's all I'm going to need here. I'm going to take a shot with Tiz Eddie as my single.
Tiz Eddie debuted last year in April running second before winning by 9.5 lengths against State Bred Company. The only loss was against Open Company in the slop, going second by a head under Sammy Bermudez. Comes back this year, runs a 4th place finish in the aforementioned allowance. Will go ahead and try to win on second asking here. And Barry, you went 4, 2, and 7. The 7 horse in here is Commander Storm, which is awesome. It's just an awesome name. It's better than that Star Wars name we had earlier. What do you like about Commander Storm? Josh disagrees. All
right. Another one that stands to get a good trip, just like the other horse I mentioned, out of the same barn actually, for John Horan, and it looks like these two horses, the 4 and the 7, were working out with each other at Horseshoe. I don't know what you can garner out of that, but I still think CJ Storm is going to get the jump on the 7, and that's why I've put one in front of the other.
There you go.
And the 2, actually, I was going to say that the 2, that horse burns a lot of money at as a favorite. I think on the page it's like 6 times this horse just didn't cover it, but they run well every time, and it's hard not to take a horse like this because they have gaudy numbers, things like that. But I don't think they're getting the setup that they would want, because there's a lot of speed in here. They're not going to have an easy run of it. If they win this race, they have definitely earned it.
4, 2, and 7 for Barry again in race 9. Josh will single with the 2 there in race 9. As part of the late sequence, we close out the card with race 10, an optional claimer. We're back on the turf for this one. Closes out the turf pick 3. Give out Josh's ticket in just a moment, but 1 mile and a 16th, about 49.5 on the line in this one. 3 and up for two lifers. Essentially in here, Josh, degree of risk, noises off, Siesta Key. These are horses that you might know, frankly, that you don't have to watch just Horseshoe Indianapolis to know from this race. You and Barry have 3 horses each, and none of them match, which I love for a closing part of the card. You went to the 4 horse on top here in Lincoln Highway. Of course, Lincoln, born in Kentucky, lived in Indiana, but was a politician in Illinois. So get out of the way, Indiana. Lincoln Highway for you. What do you like about Vicky Eller's training here?
Yeah, I think that this is a horse that's coming in here with a couple of nice efforts. Over the last couple times on the turf, and it just looks like a horse that has moved forward the last couple of races. You're kind of looking at the fields that the rest of these horses are coming out of, and I just thought that the 4, looked like maybe the synthetic wasn't what he wanted. I thought ran well at Churchill, at a big price. Probably wasn't supposed to win that, but I think when this horse does get in with horses closer to his level, he tends to run really well. You see a 104 time form at Presque Isle Downs, right? You got a win at Turfway, at last year with a really big number. And I just think it's a matter of him kind of running to, a bit softer field. And I do think he gets a little bit of maybe class relief here.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
You get obviously you got the other short prices in the 1, the 2, and the 5 in here that have races at some big tracks, but I do think the 4, I think coming from synthetic to turf, I think is going to make me take a bit of a step forward. Honestly, the 6, Dr. Ruben M. If Doug O'Neill's barn wasn't as cold as it was right now, this would be a horse that I would be using, each way, as many ways as possible, right? Right. This is a horse looks like he's coming in off good form. But man, as somebody who plays Santa Anita and every single Santa Anita turf pick 3, Doug O'Neill was winning everything, and now he's just like falling off a cliff. So he is one of those trainers that gets streaky. So maybe we could start seeing some signs of life from his barn this time around. But I'm still going to use. I do think the dirt figures are really, really good, and if this horse does take to turf, I think, if he runs anything that close to what he's been running on dirt the last couple of times, I mean, I think he's very much a contender at 10-1. And then I thought the number 7, as a horse, has got a really nice race at Ellis last year, albeit going a bit longer, looked pretty interesting in here. Did have a nice run at Churchill Downs. A little bit back, looked to be like maybe he was making kind of a winning move there early, but kind of tailed off and got caught. Another one I think that maybe is finding a slightly softer group here, and maybe he's just going to be in the spot where he can win here. But 4, 6, 7 for me.
I'm not sure that Vincent Cheminot actually exists. I got to be honest. Like that guy, he doesn't have a home track. He's just kind of here and there. I don't know that I've ever actually seen him in the same place. Like I don't know that he actually exists. But I did want to say one thing before we move on to Barry's picks here. Vicky Oliver trains your top pick here at Lincoln Highway. I did a piece right before the Preakness about Brittany Russell, and I wanted to interview a few female trainers that had won at the highest levels. And of course, Vicky had a hidden stash in the Derby just a few years ago. She was not just an awesome interview. She was great. I mean, she was great with her time. Really appreciated her. And so I just wanted to give a little shout out to Vicky Oliver. 5, 2, and 8 for Barry Spears here in the closer, at least the thoroughbred closer. You take it Siesta Key on top here. You get Fernando de la Cruz and Brad Cox. I don't hate it.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like a tale of 2 horses here, sort of. The horse before September 6th and the horse after September 6th. The gun runner, this horse just didn't have a prayer. Was in the 14th spot and just didn't do anything. And that happens sometimes at places like Kentucky Downs. So if you just put a line through that one race,
yep,
this horse is on the improve, and even improved on a surface that is not preferred. You see this horse ran a pretty good race in December at Turfway, just missed, then went 1.25 miles, and that I think is just a little bit too far. And they did it again on the synthetic from the 1 hole, got a bad trip as the favorite and burnt money that day. But I think this is a better spot all the way around. They're getting to the preferred surface of the turf and has some races to go to, especially those ones before that Kentucky Downs race. That any of those races would probably win this one. Noises Off is very interesting here too. Not really sure what they're going to employ as far as tactics go, because this horse can be close up to the pace or come up from off it. The better races seem to be from farther off the pace, and I'm not sure they're going to get quite a good setup like that. And I think if they're closer, that might compromise their chances. That's why I put them in second. And then we go to the 8 Overstatement. This horse ran some pretty good races once they got off of the synthetic. And I don't think turf is a bad idea for this horse. That's why I put it in third. Not really sure what you're going to get or what kind of price you're going to get, but I think this horse has a little bit of ability.
Overstatement, of course, was intended for the turf last time. Washed off, ended up running third, but did most of the work in that race. Was the favorite at post time for that one. Josh, we've been promising your turf pick 3 for the last 5 races. You're going to go ahead and single there. That is in race 5, right? Starts the turf pick. No, that was, race 5. So in race 5, you are going to go ahead and single the 7 horse in there in Sweet Heat, and go ahead and try that one. Then you went to race 7. And you are going to try, in race 7, a set of horses here, 2, 9, and 10, the Dover Spectre, that show we all love on Paramount Plus, and then Passing Judgment. And Just Happy to Be Here will be on your tickets there as well. Then 4, 6, and 7 in the closer for Josh. CJ's Storm is in the previous race, Lincoln Highway for that one. Dr. Ruben M. and the Minkster in there as well. It's $1 minimum on that, 15% takeout. So go ahead and play that. Josh's ticket would cost you $27 to get in for that. Well, Josh, thanks for putting that together. Appreciate it very much. Barry, thanks for being alongside as well. We're about 5-6 weeks out from the Indiana Derby itself. Josh has agreed to ruin a Monday and come down and work the draw with me. So if you are interested in doing that, and if you got to meet last year, young Lucy, we have a new Lucy. Her name is Sarah. She'll be alongside as well for that Monday and that Saturday with us there in Horseshoe, Indianapolis. I was explaining to Josh via text, and I haven't really talked to you about it yet, but I think we should do it with bad rock music in the background. It is a little absurd that this crazy podcast has funding from the National Turf Writers for summer interns. What are we doing? What's going on? Oh, man. All right, we'll be hanging out with Sarah and Josh and Barry. Will be up there for the Derby in just about a month's time. January 11th for that one. By the way, Barry can tell you, if you haven't been, you are missing out. It is one of the more fun days.
It's a great time.
It's just a great time. It's the best way to put it. Cost you nothing to get in. Cost you nothing to park. Just come on and hang out. Come see your boys. And by the way, there's always a handicapping contest on that day. So if you are a contest player, there's something going on inside there for you as well. Would love to see you up there at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. But for Barry and Josh, my name is Louie. Good luck tomorrow at Horseshoe. We'll see you in just a few days on the Horse Racing